Trying to figure out the best airline to fly to Europe? Everyone's got an opinion, and it can feel overwhelming. Loyalty programs, flight alliances, fare classes. But here's the thing, choosing the right airline isn't about what's best for everyone. It's about what's best for you. Because your flight to Europe isn't just how you get there, it's where your trip really starts. Hi, I'm Angela. I moved from the US to Europe 6 years ago, and since then, I have taken more international flights than I can count. Friends and family are always asking me, what is the best airline to fly? So in this video, I'm gonna share what I've learned from personal experience and stories from friends to help you choose the airline that will make your trip to Europe the most comfortable and enjoyable. All right, so what's the criteria that makes an airline the best? It's really simple. The best airline to fly to Europe is the one that will get you to your destination in the least amount of time and at the highest level of comfort and service that you are willing to pay for. Sure, all of the factors that go into choosing an airline can be confusing. For one, there are a lot of airlines out there. Each one has a different loyalty program, different names for their various fare classes, lounge types, and alliances. It's no wonder that it can make your head spin. This confusion is also why we consult best of lists. We want some sort of external validation telling us this is the best airline. But remember, the best airline for you is the one that will get you to your destination in the least amount of time and at the best level of service and comfort that you are willing to pay for, my friend. Let's start with domestic US carriers first. Thanks to airline consolidation, we are left with about 3 airlines that fly routinely from the United States to Europe. This is not an exhaustive list. I know that other airlines have started to fly to Europe as well, but these are the big 3. Okay, the first airline on the list is, of course, Delta Airlines. Delta is my favorite airline, and it is the airline of choice for most of my friends. This might have something to do with geography because Delta is the most popular airline in the Southeast. I used to live in the Southeast, so it might just be coincidental. Nevertheless, I find that Delta is one of the best airlines at delivering consistent service regardless of your fare class. I would say that this reliable service is something that's kind of an issue with other airlines, which I'll get into in a little bit. Delta is a member of the SkyTeam Alliance. It includes international airlines like Air France, KLM, and ITA Airways. This means that folks flying to Paris, Amsterdam, or Rome are able to find really great flight routes, either with Delta directly or with some of their SkyTeam partners. I also have to shout out Delta's business class product here, the Delta One cabin. Perhaps the best flight I ever took to Europe was during COVID. I was sitting in Delta One for the first time, taking advantage of the lie flat seats. I literally laid down, and before I knew it, like the next thing I knew, we land in Germany. Really big fan of Delta One. My only complaint about Delta is that a lot of their US to Europe flights that require a connection will connect you through Atlanta rather than JFK or Detroit, which tend to be a little bit easier for people in the Northeast or Midwest. And what this often means is that if you are a traveler from the Midwest or the Northeast, even if you want to fly on Delta, there may be a better route for you on United Airlines. And that's the second airline on our list. I'm not saying that being tempted by United Airlines is necessarily a bad thing. United is good, okay? It's fine. United is a fine airline, but it is a bit of an uneven experience to fly on United. If you are flying in their Polaris first class cabin, it's a fantastic product. You'll appreciate the seat design and the very plush bedding. Economy can be a little more hit and miss. The staff on United continues to have very choppy service. Even on the same flight, I've had incredibly kind, thoughtful flight attendants as well as rude flight attendants who kind of snapped at me for asking simple questions. United's great strength, though, is that it is part of the Star Alliance team, which gives them a huge route map, especially with transatlantic fares. Star Alliance includes Lufthansa, Air Canada, and Scandinavian Airlines, and it's also the largest airline alliance by market share. So if you're flying to Germany, Switzerland, or the Nordics, United's got you covered. United also has great US hubs, right? So it's got Washington IAD, Chicago O'Hare, and Newark. United is a fine airline, and it perfectly illustrates my rule about the best airline. You might want to fly on Delta, but if United is going to get you there quicker, you're probably going to go with United. Third domestic airline to talk about is American Airlines. Right out of the gate, American Airlines lands third on this list because it doesn't have as much coverage through its One World alliance, at least in Europe. It does, however, include heavyweights like British Airways, as well as Finnair and Iberia. That means it's great news for those heading to London, Helsinki, or Madrid, but not as extensive as Star Alliance or SkyTeam. The airline has US hubs at Dallas-Fort Worth, New York JFK, and Charlotte. American is an anomaly, at least to me, because I've never really come across a friend or a colleague, anyone, who is like a raving fan of American Airlines. Like I mentioned before, most of my friends love Delta flights, and folks who have status on United routinely sing its praises, but it's just not that I hear that same kind of gushing excitement from passengers who have been on an American flight. So I'd love to know, what do you think makes a great airline? Is it price, service, seat comfort, or something else? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. I love to read them. And if this video helps you feel more confident about booking your flight to Europe, then give it a like. It really helps the channel. Now let's move on to the list of international airlines that will fly you from the United States to Europe. There is a long list of international airlines, so I just wanted to focus on those that you're most likely to come across in your airfare search. First up is Air Canada. Personally, I love flying Air Canada from the US to Europe. Their aircraft fleet is particularly new, and the service level, even in economy, it feels more attentive and, dare I say, European. Because of Air Canada's extensive US to Canada network, you can fly with Air Canada from the US to one of their Canadian hubs and then onward to Europe. If you've got your heart set on booking Air Canada though, I would suggest booking direct. I've had 2 recent flight segments that I booked Air Canada, but I booked them through their Star Alliance partner United, and at the last minute they were changed to United flights. So like the time and the connecting airport, everything, I was just put on a different route, probably so that United could save money on code share fees. The next airline is British Airways. Wow, when it comes to British Airways, people either love it or they hate it. I have yet to encounter any opinion like in the middle. Fans of British Airways, mostly Brits, they will say that it is the best airline ever. But people who hate British Airways, they like really hate it, and they vow to arrive in Heathrow via any other carrier. BA has been flying from the US to London for more than 70 years, but over the past decade, they've been aggressively pushing into the North American market. They now operate an eye-watering 400 routes between the United States and Europe. A lot of these from smaller markets like Pittsburgh, Cincinnati, and New Orleans. To harken back to my earlier rule about what makes the best airline, if you're from a smaller city in the United States and you want to avoid a 2-flight and a layover combo in order to get to Europe, perhaps British Airways will be the best airline for you. The third airline on this list is Lufthansa, and I should point out that this international list is not ranked because I would never put Lufthansa so far down. I live in Germany, which means that I've spent a lot of time on Germany's largest airline, and in most respects, it does live up to its reputation. If you're looking for German efficiency and top-notch service, Lufthansa is a great choice. Their hubs in Frankfurt and Munich offer seamless connections all over Europe, and their premium cabins are fantastic. I'm a really big fan of their Boeing 747 that has the kind of like 2-story business class. Economy is economy, but even in that regard, I find that Lufthansa's food is a little bit better than the offering in some other airlines. The only downside to Lufthansa is that their heightened reputation does afford them some degree of pricing power. When I'm shopping for airfare, I will often see that on the same day, the same route, even connecting through the same airport, the Lufthansa itinerary is just going to be a little bit more expensive than whatever United is offering. The last international airline that we're going to talk about today is Air France. Air France is a wonderful airline. The problem though is that Air France's hub is Paris Charles de Gaulle Airport. I call it the Newark of Europe due to de Gaulle's ridiculous terminal design, which has these smaller gates with very limited dining and shopping options. Air France can get you to Paris fast though, especially if you're traveling from major cities like New York JFK, Miami, or LAX. Its first class service, Le Premier, is legendary, and it even has a lounge at Charles de Gaulle with an Alain Ducasse restaurant and Sicily spa treatments. Regardless of your fare class though, Air France is known for the quality of its in-flight dining options and attentive service from staff. Now, those are the most common international airlines that will fly you from the United States to Europe, but I do plan on doing a part 2 of this video. So if you have particularly strong opinions about another international airline, whether it's Aer Lingus or Finnair, or honestly, the list is kind of endless, drop in the comments and tell me why you love it. A lot of folks worry about the service that they're going to get if they fly an airline where they don't have some sort of really high status. What do I mean by status? Frequent flyer status, tons of points, gold level, diamond level, whatever. But here's what my frequent flyer friends and I have discovered. Personal status with an airline's loyalty program matters on the ground. Fare class matters in the air. What do I mean by that? Things like customer service lines, baggage allowances, and lounge access, all the stuff that happens in the airport before you take off, these are highly influenced by your personal status with an airline. But the quality of your seat, the food that you eat, or the amenities that you get in flight, everything that happens in the air, this is more influenced by your fare class, whether or not you got a free upgrade or if you just paid for it. Things like economy, economy plus, or business class. A real quick insider tip on this. If you want to book business class for a flight to Europe, but you can't really stomach the price, consider booking a mixed fare ticket. What this means is effectively booking business class for only one leg of a round trip flight. How I often do this is I will book a business class seat for the overnight US to Europe part of my flight because I want to take advantage of those lie flat seats. When I'm flying from Europe to the US, however, this is a flight that takes place during the day. I'm not trying to get some sleep, and the in-flight entertainment system is the exact same one you get in economy, so I just sit in economy. Conversely, if you're one of the few people that can sleep anywhere and you don't mind sleeping in economy, maybe that equation for you is completely flipped. That is my mixed fare ticket hack. I'm a really big fan of it. If you want more tips like this, then you will absolutely love my email course. It's called How to Plan a Trip to Europe, and over 8 individually delivered emails, I will walk you step by step through the process of planning a trip to Europe so that it is less stressful and more enjoyable. It's totally free, and you can sign up via the link in the description below. And make sure you subscribe and keep watching. I've got more videos to help you plan a trip to Europe. And if you want to hang out a little bit longer, I'd suggest you watch this video next. Talk to you soon.